Hello, I'm Peter Alliss and welcome to Play Golf. In this series I'm going to introduce you to a lot of my professional colleagues and chums and friends who are going to impart their great knowledge to you. And also joining me will be 4 amateurs. First, Malcolm Routh, off 8. Malcolm Erskine, off 21. Duncan Lowe, a youngster with a handicap of 11. And the prettiest of them all, Pat Garland, off 13. Well, this series, hopefully, is going to take you right from the basics of the game of golf, right up to the higher educational level, and I hope there's going to be something in it for everyone. Golf, of course, isn't always played in the sunshine, as you'll see in a moment, but let's get right down to basics, start at the beginning, come with us and play golf. In game, I think one of the most fascinating, but then you might think I'm a little bit biased, and I probably am. To many people, it's a good walk spoilt. To others, they can't understand why sane and sensible people should be out under these conditions, whacking a little white ball about until it disappears in a hole. But whether you love it or hate it, I think it's one of the greatest character builders of them all. We don't want to gallop ahead too strongly or too fast, but I would like to just make the point, in my opinion, you can't start playing golf really well unless you have a good grip. The hands are the only thing that control the club or hold the club. This is all that hits the ball, and that has no feelings. So unless you get that in the right position, the chances of you improving are really second to none. 3 basic golf grips. You've got to decide which is the best one for you. Short, stubby fingers, long, thin ones, short, fat ones. You can get grips to suit your hand size. This is what your professional's for. Go along and see him. Get as many things right before you start. That's the best way I know of learning this game. The 3 basic grips, well, the most popular one, the Varden grip, little finger right hand, laps over the first finger of the left hand. Before you do that, make sure the club fits across the bottom of the fingers, hand closes over here, get the thumb against that joint. Don't leave any gaps. Make sure that the fingers all fit nicely together. See how the fingers gripping nicely? This thumb is a good support at the top of the backswing. I can support it on that finger and thumb. If I move that thumb across, it does rather tend to give that effect, loose at the top, or the piccolo grip as it's more popularly called. So left hand nice and firm, right finger goes on, hooks round the first finger of the left hand, and again nicely in the bottom of the fingers, trigger that forefinger there, just like firing a gun. Put the thumb, the right thumb, on the left hand side of the shaft and squeeze the fingers all together. That's the Varden grip. Now, all these grips that I'm going to show you now, the 3, basically, they are in one respect the same. It's to get both hands to work as one unit to control the club head. That's the only thing that hits the ball. Varden grip, now the baseball grip, that's just, again, no fingers overlapping or interlocking, nicely down in the bottom of the fingers, so, and again, the backs of the hand more or less away from the target and away from the target that way, working as one unit. Interlocking grip, first finger left hand, little finger right, and together, crossed over, and then hooked together so. But you'll notice all the time the club in the bottom of the fingers, squeezing there, and the hand going over. The thumb, left thumb, fits underneath the butt there, that meaty part of the right hand, right under there, and locks together. Get the one that suits you. Go and find out from your professional which one he recommends, and the thickness of grip. So now let's line up the shot we have to play. Many theories, many ideas, many tips have been put forward on this score. I still think the old firing the rifle one is as good as any. Now, I presume many of you would know how to fire a rifle, or at least pick one up and aim it. And the fact is that you would go there and the left shoulder would be slightly out of a line. Now, if we look from back here to the flag, you'll see you would see immediately there if my left shoulder was in the way. Now, if I move myself round a little bit, doesn't look too bad, but in fact all this left side now is blocked out, and I'm probably aiming, if I let the body go a bit, straight into the trees, some 20 or 30 yards right of the target. So here we do our rifle routine, left shoulder, left hip, feet just slightly open to the left of the target, because remember, as the body turns, the club comes back and hits through to the target. Before we line up, though, where do we have the ball? Over the years, again, theories have been put forward. Here's a driver, and a 4-iron. Now, in the old days, they had an idea that as the clubs got shorter, so you move the ball back an inch or so at a time. So here's the driver, the ball farthest away, opposite the left heel, and the theory that used to be that you moved forward every time the club got shorter and short. You see, well, eventually some people could end up here. Now you've got no chance of hitting that ball from that position. So it's not my idea, my father's great theory, as a very good teacher, was the magic triangle, he used to call it. That is, the ball always opposite the left heel, always in the same position. Here you see the driver, here you see a 4-iron, here you see a 9-iron. All you do, in fact, is move the left foot nearer to the ball, up and down that line as the club gets shorter, and bring the right foot into the left. So there we have the driver, that position. There we have the 4-iron, coming a little bit closer, there, and a little bit narrower, and the 9-iron bringing the right foot into the left, just to ease the ball away for a little chip shot. Very simple, very easy to manage, not too complex, not too difficult. As you get better, you'll find that you need to adjust the ball position for certain specific shots, into the wind, side hill lies, downhill lies, but we'll come on to all that later. We're just trying to get you away in a sensible, easy position to hit the ball through to the target. So we've selected our grip. Remember, the one that suits us. We've got the ball opposite the left heel. We're a comfortable distance from the ball. Golf, remember, is a game where you need to be comfortable. Everything needs to be 50-50. If you walk a bit sort of 10 to 2-ish, that's the way you should stand to the ball. If you have 1 foot out and 1 foot square, that tends to lock that side of your body, but you have no resistance here. So you're swiveling about and all sorts of weird and wonderful things happen. So 50-50, easy does it. Ball forward. Remember firing the rifle. Left shoulder out of the way. Left hip, left knee is just slightly left of target. Remember, again, the backswing, at the top of the backswing, the club needs to point at the target. If we come inside too much, if we're badly aligned, say we're aiming to the right, this is an exaggeration, and I swing inside too much. Now look where the angle of club is at the top of the backswing. Miles off targets, pointing in the woods somewhere. Now the reverse of that, standing far too open, I pick the club up like an axe. Now look where it is, miles offline again. So I get myself in a position where the ball is hittable, opposite the left heel, knees nicely flexed, shoulders out of the way. I'm now in a position looking at the ball with both eyes to draw the club back and point the club at the target at the top of the backswing. Point the club at the target. Now from here I bring it down, throw the club head through to the target, and hopefully we get a nice high follow through. Easy leg position, ball opposite the left heel, and straight through, and that's a hole in one. Well, nearly. Now we've got our friends with us here, the two Malcolms, young Duncan and Pat, and I think Duncan, come in. Young Duncan Lowe, he's just come down to 11 handicap. That's pretty good stuff, eh? Now, what club have you got there, Duncan? 7 iron. Well, don't hit it first. Let's just see you line up. Just line up for the flag, and let's get a view from the back. Put the club to the ball. Now, this is an interesting one. He's nearly got it right. You'll notice how square his feet are, and he's tending to aim a little bit to the right. So if he comes inside, slightly on the backswing, moves his body a little bit forward, he's going to tend, if anything, perhaps to block that ball down the right-hand side. So just don't get too square, just ease that off just a half an inch or so. Don't get the hands too low. Use your height. You're not a big chap yet, so use all the height you've got. That's good. Good, now that's a nice, easy position. Now just give it a couple of swings from there. Oh, lovely shot. Now just settle again, just settle again. Remember, you'll learn more from hitting 12 golf balls if you think what you're doing than 100 without proper thought. Easy does it. Malcolm, 21 handicap. Does that feel good? Feels good, eh?
Yeah, good bud.
Now then, I'm just going to lay that club down, and I think from this position here, just come back with me now, I think you can see where that club is in relation to the flag. Now just come back here and we'll have a look what the viewers at home are seeing. Now look where that is. You see? Really, you need to be somewhere along that sort of line, right? That's ball opposite the left heel, feet slightly open so you can hit through to the target. Now come up and line up along that club. Don't get too close, feel comfortable. You could go even a little bit more left than that. Good, good. Now don't crowd it, don't get your knees too stiff, just relax. You know, you've seen all those great skiers and water skiers, get those knees nicely relaxed. Now then, come on, if you can just let the arms and club go from there. Nearly, a bit flat-footed. You see that? How you finish the swing and you sort of right foot in the bucket of cement, which isn't a good sign. Now, each time, move away and start again. You see, it's no good being rooted to the same spot every time. Come up each time, a fresh alignment, a fresh feeling. You're still aiming a shade right. Good. See that? And you've got your right, don't move, you see, you've got your right leg going into the shot. You've got a little bit of movement there down below, which is good. A little bit of movement in the legs. Same again, move away and come back again. Watch that foot position. Get the ball comfortable. I'm going to move this away this time. And feel comfortable, that's half the battle. Watch the ball and let it go. Ah, you got a little bit over the top, a little bit stuffy. You've got something to work on there. Well, that's a fascinating subject in itself, isn't it? Roberto Di Vincenzo, Billy Casper, Arnold Palmer, Di Reese, Gene Donald, John Panton. I'm sure you've seen them many times before. But what does a swing that lasts really mean? I suppose some might say, well, it's keeping the competitive edge, the will to want to go out and compete with the younger element. But I really think there's a little bit more to it than that. A lot of it, of course, is balance and rhythm and timing and an early assessment of the game and an ability to play within oneself. I suppose many of you must have at your own golf clubs a member that's been single figures for 20, 30, 40, 50, sometimes even 60 years. They regularly go around in less than their age, and one marvels why. Usually they seem to be the pretty square-on types, shortish swing, but always getting through to the target, and you can see that they must have had a touch of class about them years ago. But I think there's even more to it than that. We've talked about rhythm and balance often enough, but I do believe that it really does play a big part. For example, I've got 3 clubs here, a 7, 8, and 9 iron. It's a blustery day here at Downfield. We're some 110 yards from the green, and I'll just show you how I shall hit balls onto this green with these 3 clubs, not really altering the swing much at all, but all the shots going the same distance. I think this is an art that youngsters perhaps don't learn, or perhaps they don't feel the need for it today. They're rather automated. You see them marking off the yardages from this point to the green, so it must be a 9 iron or it must be a 4 iron. Sometimes, unfortunately, they get the wrong marker or the wrong tree and they blast it 80 yards over the green, and then in the press room afterwards they say, well, my caddy got the wrong sprinkler head or the wrong tree. They've forgotten to use these, I think, and assess the distance. So here we go, first of all, a 9 iron, simple shot, wind, as we say, gusting away from the right, a nice easy swing, just trying to accelerate there, through to the target. Just pitches on the front and eases its way up. Now we'll take an 8 iron. Same swing, same length of swing. Knees nicely flexed. Just on to the target. And finally, the 7 iron. Much straighter blade, of course, but the same principles apply. Easy swing through, pushing the ball forward to the target. Now, I believe all these great players we've seen, Thompson, De Vicenzo, Casper, all of them, Sneed, had the ability to control the flight of the ball. There's a marvellous story told about Christy O'Connor some 10 or 15 years ago. He was out playing with a young chap, and when asked by the youngster what club he'd taken on one particular shot, he said, oh, it was a 5-iron. And the young fellow said, well, I got there with a 7. And O'Connor just called him back quietly, took a few balls out of the bag, and from that spot proceeded to put a ball on the green with every club in the bag, including a driver from the fairway. That's class. That's what we're talking about. That's why swings last.
Now John Panton, and a chance to view his balance and rhythm. Turn away, through, easy follow through. Perfect.
This is a 7-iron. You'll notice his grip. Hands working together, not showing too many knuckles. Lining up nice and easy, 3/4 backswing. Good turn of the shoulders. Straight through down the fairway. Good balance, not trying to force. John's always used clubs with a very stiff shaft, but light heads. Peter Thompson, I think it was, who said you could do far more with light clubs with a stiff shaft than things weighing a ton. So there's 3 nice, easy 7-iron shots for John Panton. Remember, these are, at least the shorter irons, are the accuracy clubs. It really doesn't matter whether you get on the green with a 6 or a 7 or an 8. The great thing is to get on the green near the pin. Now John changes to a 5-iron. Same principles apply. Easy swing, back and forward, down the fairway. Just getting the feel of the club, holding it in the fingers. See how those fingers are squeezing the shaft. Knees nicely bent, easy turn, club on line and right through. John could probably hit the ball another 10 or 15 yards further if he were to just put a bit more beef into it, but why bother?
Watch how still he remains here. Rather like the top of a jar, screwing into the bottle, straight back and through, head still, and again, a good follow-through.
Panton, of course, many times Ryder Cup player, Scottish champion, winner of many professional events throughout Great Britain and Europe. Professional at the Glenbervie Club near Larbert. This is a 3-iron. See, the swing hasn't changed at all. The clubs have altered the swing, slightly longer shaft, different angle on the club, flatter lie, standing a little bit further away, but basically it all remains the same. The head remains steady, shoulders turn, arms work, back and through. We'll get a chance here to watch from behind and see how John's club is on the target, aiming down towards the big tree, back on line, down and through. And now finally, John's having 3 shots with a 3-wood. Panton has very thin grips, which are pretty well the same thickness all the way down. You see the simplicity of that. Of course, there's been a little thickening of the waistline over the years, and perhaps the swing has got a little shorter, but basically it's simple. Sound grip, nice easy ball position up on the left heel, head still.
Arms going straight away back, the whole right side, hips and shoulder turning away, hands staying together with the extra length of shaft, legs coming in smoothly, head still, and again, look at that fine balance.
Hours and hours of practice, of course, have helped build up this swing, but basically it's based on simplicity. nice high finish and good balance, and that is why this particular swing has lasted so well.
It's a nice shot.
That's a beautiful shot.
Have another one just to see if what we can see again. Yeah. Very well. There's one or two little things there. Just address the ball again. You're inclined to have the hands behind a little bit in this high, you see. With an iron shot, you want the hands just slightly ahead of the ball because you're going to hit a descending ball and you want the hands to be there at impact. So if you're addressing them there before the shot, you're going to compromise to get your hands there. So if you try and just keep them ahead there, that'll help it. And you'll be able to descending blow instead of when you're behind, you're going to scoop it up. And the other little thing I would say is you tend to just crouch over a little bit. Use your height. You know, bend, flex the knees just a fraction, and use your height a little bit. If you get down here, because it tends to make you drop down, and then you've got to come up and fluff a little. So if you can stay up and turn, you're going to hit forward more. Understand? Hands there.
Let's see another one.
There. Keep the hands forward. And just, that's it. Keep the back straighter. Keep up. Hands just there, you see. Not there, you see, because you don't want them there at impact. You want them there. So as you can slightly hit the ball in the downswing.
That's a nice one, Duncan.
Yeah.
And now Jean Donald, along with Wanda Morgan, Jessie Valentine, pioneer of women's professional golf in the British Isles. She's hitting a 9-iron, nicely positioned. Quite a long swing, Jean, really nips at the ball. You see the very fast hand and club head action as she actually hits the ball. There. Was a long hitter in her youth. I had the great pleasure of playing with her many times in the Sunningdale foursomes and in fact winning it with her as my partner a couple of times. What fun they were. It's a 6-iron. Ball nicely forward, good grip, you see, no loosening of the fingers. Good turn of the shoulders, right through to the target. I always think that many men could learn a lot from watching women's golf.
Come on now, let's see you, Malcolm. Oh, that's a nice shot, actually. But I would say, if I may, that you don't use your legs enough. You're a bit wooden in the legs, and I think actually your stance is a wee bit narrow. I think you could just widen it a wee bit more. And then if you use your legs more, and then you want to pivot more too, get your hips out. Yes, that's better. Oopsie, that hasn't done much good, has it? I think really you also, when you swing, you're leaving your heel, your left heel on the ground. Now you could lift your left heel up a bit. Yes, you want to get it there, not up like that, but like that. Take your left heel off the ground, that's right. Hit that, that's better. What about you, Pat? Can we just see you? Now, Pat, I would think that you have got a very slight hooker's grip. Your right hand's too far underneath here, like that, and actually you don't overlap. I think you're better if you can overlap. It'll stop that right hand from coming underneath. Yes, and get your... That's better. And your swinging, you see, because you've got a slight hooker's grip, your swing is round there instead of being up there. You want to get more upright. And you're very quick. You want to swing a bit slower. And keep your left arm straight. Get your thumb a little more over. That's better. And stand up. Yes, it's still very, very quick at the top and a bit floppy at the top. And you're still a wee bit flat. But try and firm it up. You're sort of like this. That's what you look like. which is perhaps not very polite of me, but never mind. But just firm it up a bit. And slower, much, much slower. Slowly. That's better, much better. Good shot.
Remember, when you first stand on the first tee, you're on your own with your golf game, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. And every shot, whether it's a 300-yard drive or a little putt like that carelessly you backhand, counts as one stroke. So do take your time to prepare. Perhaps some of you have been working in an office all week, holding nothing heavier than a cup of coffee or a fountain pen. Well, you can't expect to rush out and wield one of these and hit one straight down the middle of the fairway. I know I can't, and many of my professional colleagues wouldn't take too many bets that they could do just that. So just take your time. Select a nice even spot to tee up. So many people sometimes tee up in a hole, knobs behind the ball, etc. Make sure you have a nice level bit of ground, a nice uniform tee height. Perhaps tee it up a little bit higher than you normally would, just to give yourself a little bit of confidence to hit that ball away. Again, check as many things before you start. A nice, comfortable grip. If you've managed to have a few looseners in the club net behind the caddy shed, so much the better. Here again, a good grip, nice, easy stance to the ball, nicely relaxed. Try and start the first few inches of the swing nice and easily with rhythm and build up to a nice swing and follow through. Think of driving a car. You don't get in and let the clutch out quickly. It's all stop and start. So smoothly at the beginning, back and through. Easy does it. Knees nicely relaxed. Look at the ball with both eyes. And away she goes. Our four amateurs are here on the tee with one of Scotland's foremost teaching professionals. It's David Hush from North Berwick.
Fine, good. If you just like to gather around here, we'll have a look at you first, Malcolm. Now, you have a practice swing without the ball first. That's it. Now, in and address the ball again. Now, that's quite good. Your setup there's quite good. Your position of the ball's okay. You've got the ball on your left heel. You see how crouched down you are. You're way down there over the ball. Your hands are too low, and this is going to make it difficult for you to get any width on your backswing. Now, I would like to see you with your hands just a little bit more up there as against down, up there, and keep these arms together. So you're inclined to get your arms splayed and the hands too low. Therefore, when you go back, you've got difficulty in getting any height in your swing. Your swings, you take it back again. That's it. Now you see how close and narrow in here you are. You've got to really try and get you up here with a bit more width in your swing to hit the ball that little bit further. Now if you hold the club, I'll take it back for you. Now, hands just up a little bit more. That's you. Now you hold the club and I'll take it back. Now it's a movement of your hands, your shoulders and your hips. They all turn together, they all turn in one piece. Round and turn and up to there. Now the backswing's completed when that left shoulder is under your chin. That's it there, that's quite a good position now. But keep these hands up, not quite so tight. Down again. Now you see when you're holding the golf club there, you're holding the golf club like grim death. You're holding it so tight that as a result your arms are getting all tense and tight. Now, just relax that grip a bit, not too tight. Firmly but not tight. That's you. Now from there, get some width and up to there. That's it. Now that's a better turn, and your hands are a bit higher. Let them out there. That's it. Down again. So that's your hands, your shoulders, and your hips. They all turn together wide. Now don't break these wrists too quickly. From there, drag the head back that way. That's it. And then let them up. That's you. Now try a practice swing like that without the ball first. Round you go. That's it. Now, let me see your club just now. If you just stand over there, I'll show you from here. Now, when you're coming down, once we get to that position, I want to see you really release that club head. Throw the club head at the ball. See, you're very inclined. You're down here, that way. Your arms are too splayed, and it's very tight and tense. And then you're really steering the ball and holding on to the shot. You've got to release that club head much more. From there, from the top of the swing, stay behind the golf ball and sling the head at the ball. It's a right-handed shot. It's a right-handed uppercut to hit that golf ball away. When you come down there, it's a right-handed uppercut that hits the golf ball. You're getting narrow in here, and then you're very tight and tense on it there. In other words, you're steering the golf ball. Your swing's quite good. Rely on your swing. Keep plenty of width, and give it a right-hand uppercut up there after the shot. Now, let's see you try that. Now that's stand up to the ball, don't get yourself crouched over it. Now not too tight a grip, don't grip it too tight. That's it, hands just a little bit higher. Now round you go, swing it up. That's a bit better. That's a solider strike. Well, we'll have a look at Pat I think now. If you come in, we'll see what you can do. Now, you have a couple of practice swings first of all. Till we see what you... Good. Try another one. Fine. Well, you've got quite good club head speed. Your speed of the club head at the ball is pretty good for a lady. Now you give it another swing. This time stop at the top of your swing and don't come down. Just back and stop at the top. That's good. Now, you can see from there how you've moved back there slightly, but your hips are not really turned, and you're not high enough as well. Now, down again. Now, you hold it and I'll take it back for you. Now, when you're going back, you're inclined on the backswing to want to stick your left knee out that way on most of your shots, and that keeps you hanging over the ball. Doesn't allow yourself backing round. Now, I want to see you coming in on that left knee, comes in behind the golf ball, which allows you to turn your shoulders and your hips. Now, let's try it again. Now, when you're addressing the ball, always have your feet slightly out. That's it, slightly out the way. Never have them dead square, because then if you go into the ball with any power at all, you'll go over on your ankle. Slightly out with your feet that way. That's good. Now, from there, when you go back, that left knee comes in behind the golf ball. Round and in behind the golf ball. That's it. Now, that gives you a little bit more height, your shoulders are turned and your hips are turned, and then you're in a position from there to swing the head right out through the ball, because you've got good club head speed, which is nice to see a lady with, because normally the ladies get up there and they're just inclined to let the club fall on it. But you've got a nice bit of club head speed there, and if you get the lower half of your body working as well, you'll hit that ball for miles. Now, let's try that at the ball. That's it, feet slightly out, that's good. Now, that left knee comes in behind the ball. Plenty of time, back and round. That's it. Now work your feet. Good. That's a good swing. That's better. Now, what we'll do is I'll just go through a couple of shots to try and let you see what I would do with the driver. Now, a couple of points I've made there to you. First of all, to Malcolm about releasing the club head and letting the club head go at the bottom there. See, if you've got a good swing to the top there, if you're in the correct position at the top of the swing, the chances are you'll hit a good shot. Most of the faults in the golf swings come in the backswing. So if you're in a bad position up there, the chances are you're going to hit a bad shot anyway. So let's assume that we're correct up there. Therefore, the only way we're going to get a bad shot now really is by completely quitting on the shot and not letting the club head go right out through the ball. As I say, all you need to play this golf game is once you have a reasonable swing, it's big hands, big feet and a big head, and that goes a long way to hitting this golf ball. So I've got the big feet and the big hands there, so if I can get the big head as well and rely on my swing and go right out through that shot, the chances are we'll hit a good one. And all things being correct, then release that club head at the ball. It should go straight. There we go. Now, as you can see on that one, I've really released that club head at the bottom. As I said to you earlier, it's a right-hand uppercut.
Well, David Hush demonstrating quite admirably the art of hitting the ball with the club head. That's the only thing that really makes contact with the ball, so make sure you use it. But before we leave the tee, let's just see what you can do here. So many people rush onto the tee, tee the ball up, put it in a hole on top of a hump, don't even see if the ground is smooth behind the ball, so that when they draw the club back, it hits a little frozen worm cast or a lump and throws it offline. You've got 2 clubs lengths, remember. Driver, longest club in the bag, you can take it back that far, and then surely you can find a level space in this area. Also important, if you've got trouble down, say, the right-hand side of the fairway, tee up on the right-hand end of the tee and aim away from it. Aim into the wide part, the safe part of the course. Try and get as many things correct before you start. And this, from the tee, should surely be one of them, if not the most important shot in golf. But let's move down the fairway and let's play on from there. Who better to show us how to play fairway woods and irons than Greg Norman, the young Australian who won the World Match Play Championship in 1980.
Great looking shot from Greg Norman, right to the heart of the green, plummets down. Great effort from such a range, and gives us a chance to have another look at that swing in slow motion. A super grip, good poise and posture, arms and hands together. Not a long swing, 3/4. Now watch the legs driving through, head still, club head thrown right through the ball.
You keep doing that and holding the putts, you might make a bob or two, Greg. I'd like you to meet Malcolm Routh now. Malcolm, come and meet Greg. Malcolm, who's 8 handicap, member here at Downfield.
Malcolm, how are you?
Malcolm's pretty good with the old fairway woods. And Malcolm, what about hitting a couple and letting Greg and I watch that vastly improving swing?
We hope.
Yes, you can whip that down there. Oh, well, that's not too bad, Malcolm. But, Greg, you were watching Malcolm there. What thoughts do you have when you're playing these fairway wood shots, which is such a vital part, isn't it, in the game of golf?
It certainly is, yeah. I think with fairway woods especially, you've got to keep your rhythm as smooth as you possibly can, because there's more room for error, because you're like not with the driver where you've got room with the ball being teed up. I think with a fairway where the ball is nestling down all the time, you've got to keep it consistent or a nice smooth rhythm all the time.
It's rather like driving a car, isn't it? You get in and you accelerate and you go through, and you build up. The backswing is just a means of getting poised.
That's right.
To
Get
bring
yourself
the
in
club
position,
down,
yes.
and then sweep through. I think Malcolm tends sometimes to get a bit too fast here,
Yeah.
pulls him back off his, back onto his right foot, and then loses himself during the actual swing.
True,
Let's
yeah.
just see you again. Just talk us through your swing again, Greg, and just the sort of pointers you feel. Now, you're lining up. Now, you usually look from behind?
When I line up, I normally look at an object about 6-8 feet in front of me to line up, which makes it a lot easier to line your body up with an object in front of you close than with the flag, say, 250 yards away. So that's the principal idea, that I get behind the ball, look at an object there, and I can see it there. And then I set myself up to that thing first with the club head there, place it down. And normally I try and set myself a little bit open than normal, because with a fairway wood you've got to give yourself room to come into the shot. And this way here you can come into the shot a lot easier, come in behind it.
I think an interesting thing here too for viewers at home is Greg's grip. He's a powerful man, but this is probably one of the best looking grips I've seen for a long time. Not too many knuckles showing here, 2.5. Good trigger of the first finger here of the right hand. This part can really apply some power, and that's a really nice, tight, solid-looking grip. Looks super. And you'll notice the Varden grip.
Yes, that's right. So that's the main principle in the idea, Malcolm. If you can address yourself a little bit open with these type of shots, so you give yourself room to come into the ball, you see. So address the ball looking at that mark there, and then you set yourself up, and then you think nothing else but rhythm.
That looks right on the target. That's right on the target, Gray. What a lovely shot. You see that, Malcolm?
Yes.
A little bit of hard work and endeavour. You can approach that, but I'm sure you've learnt something there. Nice turn, hands working nicely, although hits the ball very hard, hits it with rhythm. Hard but slow, right? Hard but slow, with the punch coming in exactly the right place there. Well, from the violent power of Greg Norman, we turn to the delightful attractiveness of Sandra Needham, Scottish Ladies Champion, 1976. Sandra, welcome. Well, nice to see you. And a very impressive opening there, I must say. 205 yards to the pin with a 4-wood. That's pretty good for a wee tot.
Thank you.
So, Sandra, let's show the viewers your swing here. And what are you thinking about now? You've got a wind right to left. You're 205, 206 yards to the actual flag. Now, what are you trying to do? What are your thoughts here when you come up to this shot?
Well, quite frankly, when I'm trying to hit a shot like this, all I do is I try to stand squarely to the line of flag.
Yeah.
And then I just try to take a nice swing. That's really all. I'm trying to hit the ball straight.
I think an interesting feature here is Sandra's grip. We've just been watching Greg Norman, and we talked about his hand position, which was very good indeed, just showing 2, maybe 2.5 knuckles, and Sandra's is pretty well the same. Now, the great American professional, Judy Rankin, has a very fierce left-hand grip. It's over here somewhere, and who can argue with that, because she's been immensely successful. But I think this is one of the best-looking grips I've seen for a long time. Here again, triggering the right forefinger, getting some power into it. That looks very good, Sandra, indeed. Let's just see a nice swing there. Notice, too, that you keep the swing nice and wide as at the takeaway and sort of sweeping the ball away.
Yes, I'll try to do that.
Right, well, let's see you bang that one up towards the green. You notice Sandra's good turn, wide swing, and a good long follow-through, not hurrying anywhere. Oh, that's a beautiful hit. Down, just skirting the bunkers, and that'll go onto the edge of the green. Oh, very good shot indeed.
Okay.
Oh, that's not bad, Pat. Now, this is a par 5, and it's an interesting one, I think. Do you sometimes get here and think, well, what's the best thing for me to do? Should I sort of take an iron and lay up and then an 8-iron onto the green and try and get my par 5 that way, or will I have a go with a wood? Basically, do you sort of play it the same every time you come to this hole, or do you sometimes, you know, you've hit a good drive up to here, say, and you've got the 2 bunkers on the left, the bunker on the right?
Well, I tend to play a wood.
You're going to give it a wood. Good girl. Come on then, let's see that nice wood. Remember, the wind's from the right, so it'll come across. If anything, it'll go away to the left, but the pin's sort of middle right-hand side. So always look about you and see what's going on, where the flag is, how the wind's blowing, the terrain in front of you. You know, don't always just see one sort of blinkered shot. I reckon you want to aim this just on the right corner, as Sandra did before. Right corner to allow for the wind and gives you the widest margin for error. Well, you got away with that. The view from behind was very shut. You were very shut in here. You were almost in your own way. This left foot was sort of well ahead, and you were a bit there, came very much inside and over the top, and you got it a bit out of that back end, didn't you?
Yes.
Just a little bit, just a little bit. Let's ask Sandra to join us now, and let's have a look at you two girls, because I think, Sandra, come and stand next to Pat, and both of you just stand there and address the ball straight on, side by side. Good, 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 good. Now, I think you'll agree there are some quite different parts to these two girls here. You see, Pat is very square on. Shoulders are very square. She's done that. There's no question of being here, a little bit right shoulder down, as Sandra is. That's the first very noticeable thing. Pat's arm, the right arm here, is almost over the top of the left, so that also tends to bring the right shoulder up and almost, again, in your own way. So the right arm wants to be underneath. You see how that is? With Sandra, I can put the club pretty well under there, whereas with Pat, you see, I've got to sort of go in here like Dr. Hook to get in there. So you see, Pat, how your right arm has climbed up over the top of your left. You're not settling in behind the ball. This is very good here, which is, well, of course, as we would expect from an international player. So watch that right arm because it's pulling your right shoulder over the top. Now look at the grip. Pat has got a pretty good grip indeed, but the hands are tending to be a little bit behind the ball there, whereas Sandra's are pretty well straight on. We don't want to exaggerate that too much. Exaggerating anything is a fault. Remember that. That's a fault, that's a fault. So we want to be just right. So Pat, you've got to get your hands a little bit more forward, and we've got to try and get a little bit down there. Again, with your feet. Pat's feet, when she's actually hitting the ball, this foot seems to be too much this way. This one, just turn it in a bit, Pat, to exaggerate. That's it. You see, that's an exaggeration of Pat's feet at the address. Now, you'll notice Sandra's are nicely at 10-2, which is the way probably she walks. I think a lot of people read books and, you know, they see photographs, particularly of people like Lee Trevino, who rather tends to stand with his left foot out, ball well forward. He reaches far after the ball, long and low through here. But it's amazing how many people you do find that walk either 5-1 or 10-2, but when they come to hit the golf ball, there are all sorts of funny ways of putting their feet, which makes it much more difficult for them to play. I remember once years ago, Henry Cotton, who was then at the peak of his fame, said that everyone should rather play pigeon-toed, put the feet in a little bit like that and lock the knees. Well, many people tried it, and chiropractors were kept busy for years until somebody noticed that Henry Cotton, in fact, walked a little bit that way. Come on, Pat, we'll just see you hit a couple more and see whether we can get that, thanks, Sandra, whether we can get you into a little bit better position. All these things take time to learn. And the one thing about golf is usually you've got to get worse before you can get better. There's no sort of, you know, there's no magic wand that you can do that with and all of a sudden you spring out and win championships. It's hard work and a lot of tears. But do you feel now what I mean about that arm over there? See, really, we ought to be that way. See? We ought to be that way. There, right? That's a slight exaggeration. That, of course, would be a fault. That's a fault. Now, that's more or less your position here. And you aim right, you're aiming too far right of the target, and consequently, you're in here and out of you know, you get in your own way here. You're in here and tend to come over the top. Just try and ease round a little bit more, left, just come round. Watch the feet, see, watch the feet. Just put them down as you would normally. Get a good base. Everything must have a good foundation. Now let that club head easily away and then crack it in at the ball. Oh, what a star. What an absolute star. Long iron play is a rather specialised business. And over the years, I've been very privileged to see a lot of great, great long iron players. Jack Nicklaus, of course, one of the greatest one-iron exponents I've ever seen. Arnold Palmer in his heyday. Brian Barnes of Scotland, who is tremendous with the one-iron. And I suppose it's become a great piece of the modern golfer's armoury, particularly at the professional level, the one-iron. Used off a tee, can hit the ball 220, 30 yards, pretty well under control every time. As most of you, I'm sure, know, a driver, a 2-iron, a 1-iron, a 3-iron are probably the most difficult clubs in the bag to use. That's because of the length of shaft and the lack of loft. So why struggle on manfully trying to hit a 2 or a 3-iron if it's just beyond your capabilities? You know, you're no less manly and you're still kind to your dear old mum, even if you can't use the 2-iron. Why not a 4-wood, a 5-wood, a 6-wood? And some great manufacturer, whose name shall remain nameless, makes a full set of clubs in woods. Well, that's maybe a little bit exotic, but it just shows you what can be done. So don't forget the 5 or the 6 wood for the 200-yard shots or the 180-yard shots. If it works for you, use it. I've got a 4-iron here, and I'm just going to endeavour to get the old blood moving through the veins and hit these up towards the green. See, notice again, nice stance, not too wide. That's too wide, that's too narrow. Nice and comfortable. Ball opposite the left heel. Hands just about level with the club head. Head up, looking at the ball with both eyes. Start it, easy backswing, 3/4, and try and get a nice follow through right onto the target.
Oh, that was a nice, easy swing. Floating right towards the flag, and not bad at all. Keep that one. Now Greg Norman with a 5-iron. Straightforward shot, right at the pin. But what would he do, I wonder, if he wanted to move the ball from left to right?
When I address the ball, I try and play a little bit further forward. And I'll aim at the flagpole, but address my club head at the green, at the target there I wanted to finish. And I just make a normal swing at it. I think people get into the wrong frame of mind when they want to cut the ball. They try and change their swing, like take it on the outside and cut across it. I think if you try and keep it the same swing all the time, you can reduce the amount of error.
Well, Greg, come on, let's see you sort of aim it now on the flagpole. Club face just held open a little bit at the address.
Yes.
Eh?
Just a fraction bit open so we can...
And then just a normal swing, eh?
Just try and manipulate the ball in there.
There she goes, just moving 6 or 7 yards left to right. I was cutting up, finishing on the front edge of the green. Now let's say you want to play one the other way. Just bring it in right to left. Now, what are your thoughts there? You stood left with the blade open before. Now, what are you going to do this time?
Same sort of principle. You just aim a little bit further right and just normal swing, and the ball should just shut the club face a little bit, and the ball should just come around.
You just let it ease around and turn.
Around, yeah.
Right. Yeah, there she comes. Right onto the green. Well, now on to the short game, which probably causes more aggravation than most, and it can stretch up as far as 120 yards from the flag, particularly for the mighty hitters. But it's a whole variety of shots: chip shots, long shots, pick shots, bunker shots, buried shots. And joining me now is one of the greatest exponents of that lovely little delicate, slow pitch, the floppy one that goes over the bunker and lands so delightfully softly, while, of course, it's international Scotland's own Bernard Gallagher from the Wentworth Club in Surrey.
This part of the game is really controlled by the amount of practice one does. You know, unlike the long game where technique is more involved, this part of the game, more if you just stand here and practice all day long, you'll get better at it, really.
Well, now, our four stalwarts are here. Now, will you just talk them through your thoughts when you've hit a shot to here, whether you're playing your second shot or your third shot or whatever, you're going to play, what's that club you've got there?
It's a pitching wedge.
Yeah. Now, you've selected your pitching wedge, you've got a ball here, there's the shot. Now, just take us through your thoughts when you come up, what you see, when you look at the green now, what you see, what you're looking for, and what you're trying to do.
Well, the first thing that's important is I try to line the club face up absolutely square on target. That's very, very important. This particular shot isn't going to be a very long shot, so I'm going to keep my leg action and my body action to a minimum here. I'm going to play the ball from a slightly open stance so that my body is facing towards the target, and I'm going to keep my hands ahead of the ball. And also in the back, on the downswing, I'm always going to have the feeling that my hands are leading the club face. I think this is very important, not only in this chip shot, but in all pitch shots and chip shots around the green. The important thing is to feel that your hands are leading the downswing. Otherwise, you'll fluff it. People always fluff it when their hands get behind the club face. So I'll hit one here. Club face aiming at target. Weight predominantly on the left foot from a slightly open stance. Now, I'm really thinking in terms of arms only, keeping my eye on the ball. Throwing it up there, quick wrist break to get some height into the shot. And it's just a matter of hitting balls and balls until you get that right.
Watch Bernard's length of swing. You see, this is only a shot of probably 80 yards or so, but you'll notice how far he swings the club and a nice follow-through. There's no short pecking at it here, just a good rhythm. You have a full follow-through, almost as far as he would do with a driver. The ball lands fairly limply onto the green. I think that's the great secret. I remember the great Bobby Locke, who, although he drew the ball in from right to left, at certain times the ball seemed to be travelling so slowly that even if it landed on a hard green, it was lifeless. It wasn't hitting the green and spinning. I think that's important, to feel the pace too.
Yeah,
off the club.
I think that really comes by hitting the ball first. You know, that's where you're really going to get the perfect trajectory.
Let's move forward now and play some little chip and runs.
Whereas the pitch shot is played up in the air, the chip shot is played along the ground. You play the chip shot when there's no obstacles you need to pitch over. And Pat, who's standing here beside me, I would like to see how she plays this shot. Pat, would you like to hit a few? I'd like to see you playing, go right down the shaft a little bit. It's just a little shot now. Stand a bit closer to the ball, if you can. Yes. Not too bad, Pat, but on this shot here, I would like to see you keep your swing a little bit lower. We're just trying to keep the ball along the ground, so consequently, I would just like to see the swing along the ground as well. You just keep the club head low and keep your follow-through low as well. And also a good tip is on this shot, I always try and pick a spot to hit. For instance, when we're using a 7-iron, try and land the ball about 1/3 of the distance, then let the ball run 2/3. So just try and land it about a yard short of the green, will you? If you can. Don't look at the flag, just look at the spot where you're going to chip it to. You're getting the ball running quite well there, but I'd still like to see your swing a little bit lower. Don't have it going back so much up here. Just keep it low here like that.
This is a slightly different situation. I've got young Duncan with me and we're going to chip from above the surface of the green down onto the actual putting surface. There's a couple of ridges and rolls in the way, and when you chip from above the level down, the ball does rather tend to stop a little bit more quickly. The reverse is true if you're chipping up to a green. The ball comes up a lower trajectory and scoots away. So here again, Duncan, you want to view the shot you've got in mind. Try and pick your spot, as Bernard was saying to Pat. Try and pick your spot, land, and remember that the ball will roll. It won't roll quite so far as you might think, but you've got to try and judge the pitch and the roll. Feet, you see, nicely together. Weight on the left foot. This is a 9-iron. Pitch him down and let him ease its way down to the whole side. Now, let's see you have a go at a couple of those. Have you got a 9-iron there?
Yes.
Good man. Now, where do you feel your weight, first of all? Just address the ball. Let's have a look how you see. Now, always clean the blade of your club, look. Never play with all sorts of bits of stuff on the club face. Good. Now, just get set, but don't hit it. Right, now you ready? Right, now just feel right. You've picked your spot. Now, let's see a nice swing. That wasn't bad at all, but you see, it just pulled up a little bit short. Now, let me just show you. Let's have a ball out again. Now, you address that. Clean the face again. You see, if you get all sorts of dirt on the club face, it can build up a cushion between the ball and the club, and you just dub it halfway. Now, get set, but this time don't hit it. Now, you see, you're tending again to get your hands behind the ball, and your weight's a little bit back here. So, if anything, you're tending to do that. You're not doing that. You follow? You're not doing that quite sharp enough. So a little bit more weight on the left leg, a little bit more weight on the left knee. You can break the wrists a shade earlier and make a nice accelerating contact as you hit the ball. Pick your spot down there, and remember, you're only going to get about maybe 10 or 12 feet of run. Keep a little bit forward, break the wrist, and now just a nice little firm shot. Better. So you've got it going forward, checking and running. You're only 4 feet right of the flag, a good speed.
Well, that's one of the most difficult shots in golf, even for the professional. One must practice it a lot, and you also must be very aware that the technique is correct. With this particular shot, I use a sand iron, and the face is kept slightly open with a quick wrist break. However, the operative word in this is tempo and smoothness. You mustn't hurry the shot, otherwise you'll end up duffing the ball into the bunker. You also must keep your eye on the ball. You must keep your body still so that it's only an arms movement. No quitting on the shot. Nice easy backswing and through. Most of the weekend golfers go wrong when they hurry the shot, jerk the shot. Now what happened there? Hands went behind the club in the downswing. The hands like that. No acceleration into the ball at all. Hands really caused that one to go. It wasn't head up as the old adage would have it. Hands ahead, like that. Firmly. You must hit it firmly through. You can only do this when your hands are ahead of the ball at impact.
You know, probably more things have been written about putting than probably any other part of any other game that I can suddenly think of. It's almost in a world of its own, although many people think it really shouldn't be, for after all, we're on probably the most prepared piece of ground on the whole golf course. Everything flat, usually, hopefully, beautiful texture, and all we've got to do is roll the ball up into that hole, which is almost 5 inches across. Sounds ridiculously easy, doesn't it? But it's brought strong men near to tears. Over the years, Ben Hogan, Henry Cotton, Sam Snead, and a multitude of others, including my humble self, have all been reduced to almost psychiatric wards and reading the art of powerful thinking, positive thinking, instead of going on the negative route. Bernard is going to show us a putt of about 14 yards or so. Let him just roll a couple up to the hole for you and just watch his pendulum-like motion and the speed of the club head. And how easy it all looks.
I tend to think in terms of rhythm. I like my follow-through to be the same length as my backswing.
That's relative to any length of putt. So if you've got a sort of 8-footer, you sort of go, that's the sort of length of swing rather than one
Yes.
for 18 yards.
Well, that's general principle I work on, and I also try to make my backswing and the downswing exactly the same pace, so that I don't quicken it in the downswing. I just take it back and I bring it down exactly the same pace. That gives me some sort of method, and it gives me some sort of tempo and rhythm.
Do you try and use both hands when you putt?
Well, yes, I do. Well, I use both hands,
So
but I use a
you're
reverse
using
overlap.
the long finger
That's
job
right,
too. It's
yeah.
not just wrapped round that first finger,
No.
a little finger a la, say, Billy Casper. You've got the long spread.
Yeah, this enables me to putt more or less with the right hand.
There.
So that, yeah, it's all really a right hand. With putting the finger down there, it prevents me from turning over like this. I can hit it firmly with the right hand, and really, I putt, general terms, in fact, I could just putt like that, really, if I had the strength in the hand and the confidence, because that's all I see putting,
So
one-handed.
really, from a long range, or say over 15, 16, 18 yards, you're concentrating on pace, judgment of the speed of the green, getting the ball up close enough so that you don't three-putt. Now, having
right.
worked that out, let's go and have a couple of putts from closer to the hole,
Okay.
and let's see what that technique is when we're down within the dreaded 4 or 5 feet circle. So what are your thoughts now? This is an important putt for you. You're going to look at it, you're going to choose your line, you're going to think just right of centre, but what actually do you think about here?
First of all, when I was lining up the putt, I would picture a spot just in front of the ball.
Yeah.
That would be in a direct line into the middle of the hole, and I would then ignore the hole and try and hit it over that point.
Just get it running over that spot?
Over that spot,
Yeah.
yeah.
So basically, see, you're employing old techniques, but things that have given you confidence. Well, I'm interested to see your length of swing on this, because your theory of back and through. Let's just see your length of backswing and follow through for this putt of perhaps 33 inches.
It's a long 33
Yeah, it is a long,
inches.
yeah. Long
it?
33 inches. You'd like to buy some land off me, would you?
Yeah. No, straight back, putter head low in the backswing, and body absolutely dead still. Purely hands and arms. Just got in. Just aiming over that spot there.
Mm. You see, it fascinates me that you say you don't try and accelerate. You're trying to keep
Yes.
it the same pace all the time.
A jerk. On the putting, a jerk when I accelerate. When I feel I accelerate. Unlike
You mean
the other
you hit
shots.
at it with the club
Yes,
head
it
rather
turns.
than letting it go
Yeah,
through?
same pace, all the time. Backswing and follow through, exactly the same. Like that.
Well, Bernard, that was a pretty good exhibition of holing out. Fascinating, the length of backswing. And
Yes.
for you at home, I'm sure it must be interesting because Bernard's just one of the hundreds of styles that you'll see if you watch golf throughout the world, whether they be amateurs or professionals. And if it works, it's great. If it doesn't, tears. Well, I'm sure many of you are fed up with being told how simple these shots are. But you know, sad to say, they really are, if you get, again, as many things right before you start. Basically, many people play their golf on maybe 1 or 2 golf courses, those around where they live. If the sand is heavy, as this is more or less heavy here, make sure you get a club with a nice broad base. If you're playing golf up in the Cotswolds, where the ground is harder and the sand is thinner, a smaller, thinner blade will help you perfect these bunker shots. But, well, let me just show you how. Of course, there are so many variations of bunker shots, stuck in corners and tucked up under lips and so on. But let's just take the ordinary bunker shot lying fairly smooth. What do? Ball fairly well forward on the left foot. Aim slightly left of the target. Open the blade of the club. Don't be afraid of letting it lie open. Don't hold it square. Allow the blade to stay open there. Aim left, and now swing, try and swing along the line of your feet. But because the blade is open, that will throw the ball out towards the flag. So we've got the ball forward, we've got the blade open, hands forward, not behind the ball here. Keep the hands well forward, and don't forget to go nicely back and nicely through. And it should come out every time. Sweet as a nut. And don't forget, when you leave the sand, well, we're fortunate to have a rake with us today. Well, if there's one there, make sure you use it. It'll make those people coming up behind a lot happier. And if you don't have a rake, well, the old foot still does a very good job. Help the old greenkeeper, and everyone will be happy.
Tommy Horton's our guest professional, one of the unique band who manages to combine international golf and the running of a very successful pro shop in the island of Jersey, where in fact he was born, along with other great English golfer Harry Varden. Very much a hand and arms player, Tommy Horton.
Tommy's now going to advise Malcolm Routh how to approach a difficult lie in a bunker.
Well, Malcolm, you've got yourself a problem here, haven't you?
Yes, a bit of a
You've got
problem.
a downhill slope,
lie, yes.
and you've got the back lip of the bunker here to contend with, and you've got a lot of the bunker to go through.
Yes.
Now, you've got a problem, but it can be solved quite easily. The first thing you have to do is to nestle the club in with the face slightly open here. Take your normal grip. That's it. You can't get your right foot any further back. You're limited there. Keep the blade open. Now, you've got to remember one thing for this shot. You've got to hit it hard because you've got a lot of bunker to go over.
Yeah.
And the next thing you've got to do is remember that you've got this angle, the angle of the shaft of my club. So you want the club to go in behind the ball, about 2 inches here, and you want to continue on that angle. When you've finished the shot, when you've continued on that angle underneath the ball, continue to hold the blade open and follow through with your left hand firm. Don't ever let your right hand cross over, because that'll just make the ball duck into the bunker here. If you can keep the face open by swinging your left hand forward with the club and continue along the slope, the thing will go out quite high, and the best you can hope to do is really to get it on the middle of the green.
Yeah.
So a good long swing, entering the sand a couple of inches behind with the face open, and there you are. Watch the ball carefully and swing it right through. A little more open with the club face. Well done.
Not going to let our visiting professionals sneak away without demonstrating some of these more difficult shots. The first one, downhill, this is where Malcolm was, virtually the same sort of position. One where Tommy will be standing with his feet out of the bunker, ball below his feet. One slightly uphill at the front of the bunker, and the far one just on the edge of the grass, edge of the sand. You still can't ground your club because the sand or the line of the bunker would come into play. So I just want to see how Tommy would tackle these 4 shots. Now, firstly, Tommy, here you are. You've got 1 foot out, 1 foot in, probably. Here, well, you've already gone through this with Malcolm. So come on, physician, heal thyself.
I will. You've got to keep your body still. So I'm just going to do this with my arms and hands, and being an arms and hands specialist, I ought to be able to do it all right. Make sure it gets up quickly.
Yeah, pretty good. Got a little bit of backspin as well.
Just a touch.
That's very professional. Now this one, slightly different, Tommy. Feet out of the bunker and above the ball. So what do you do here?
Well, as the feet are out of the bunker, you're not quite sure of how much sand you've got underneath the ball, but as it's near the edge of the bunker and greenkeepers tend to stand out and rake the sand towards the edge of the bunker, I presume there's quite a lot of sand there. I'm going to have to hit it quite hard. No problem about getting it airborne, there's lots of sand there. But it's fairly straightforward, unless the ball is a lot below.
In this case, bend your knees a little bit more, do you?
In this case, I'll just give it a little more length in the grip and bend the knees just a little more than I would normally.
Yeah, out she comes, you see, just easing its way down 6 or 7 feet from the hole. An awkward shot, but again with a chance of getting a par. Now this one, in this case, isn't all that bad, but sometimes you can really get bunker shots, can't you, where the ball's up a very, very steep face, and I always thought those were the most difficult. So it's so easy to go in too near the ball and just fire it 80 yards too far.
I must admit, this is the one I dislike most of all too. It's always difficult to get the club following the line of the sand and getting the angle, yes, and getting the angle of the club wrong, you see. When you're attacking it from this distance, you, in this sort of way, you tend to blade it a bit or just leave it straight in there.
Yeah.
But I think the method one must use is always the same. You've just got to follow the line of the sand without taking too deep a divot.
Yes, it's much easier to take too much than too... I think the commonest fault is going down too deep, isn't it?
That's right, yes. People tend to dig it in and then it doesn't go anywhere.
Oh, well, that was a nice one.
Watch again now. Watch the length of swing, the rhythm, the steadiness of the head. Hands coming down, club head under the ball, out.
Well, you see now here, Tommy, we've got a tricky one. It's lying in loose sand, you know, a debatable point, whether I suppose one could say it's not in the bunker, but you certainly couldn't ground your club here without incurring a penalty stroke. So easy if you're trying to chip it to, you know, stub it there. You've a little bit of rough ground here, 4 or 5 feet.
Well, I think you could guarantee to get it on the green with a putter, even if you miss-hit it. What I'm going to try and do most of all is to try and stare at the part of the ball I'm going to hit. A lot of people in these circumstances just sort of look at the ball as a whole. I think it's very important to stare at the part you're actually going to hit and make a firm hit, as Gary Player would. Attack everything. So here we go.
Well, it kept going, Tommy, and there, as you say, if you hit it hard enough to get through, you've got certainly a chance of a putt from there.
Yes, I think that's probably the safest thing to do.
Well, plenty of food for thought there, and in the words of the great Gary Player, when someone said, you know, he was rather lucky, he said, well, yes, the more I practice, the luckier I seem to be. Well, how about that for a little beauty? I don't think even Blaster Bates could get that out in the right direction. But Pat here, it's a bit unfortunate, Pat, that you as a a wee little thing should be faced with a shot like that. But there's the flag, there's the ball. It's sort of half plugged in the bank. Now, how would you tackle that shot if you were playing in the medal? What would you do?
I think I would go for the pin.
Would you? Go on. Well, just show us what you'd do. Now, stop. Now, I'm sure many of you can see that although Pat's got herself into a pretty good position here, she's kept her body fairly level by getting this leg up here on the bank, but really she's chosen by far the most difficult shot to play. The ball is sort of half plugged up underneath there. We've got this lump of grass, which the ball most probably would go into and probably bury it, at best come back in the bunker. Now, did you ever think, you see, I don't think it's possible for you to get on the green in one, so you're going to take 2 from here to get on the green, so you're struggling not to take 4 shots from here, right? But you're certainly not going to get on the green for 1. Now, where did you look round about you for an easier escape route? You see, you probably didn't look anywhere, did you? Yeah. Right? Now, you wouldn't go in that direction, because if you did, it's an even more difficult, see, it's an even more difficult lie. Now, let's explore the other way, over here. Now, you can see it's open, the grass is short, you've got 1 tree here, so let me just show you how I would play this one, just there. So, see, you've got a level stance, you can get at the ball here, you can draw it back, you can get all your weight behind it because you're standing level. Here, you see, from this position, everything must come a bit this way, right?
Yes.
Plus the fact that you may sort of do your back in. So come round here, aim out there, you've still got a chance of a chip and a putt. Now, when you play this one, see, because of this shelf here, try and remove these bits of grass here. You don't have to hit the ball all that hard, funnily enough. Obviously, a good hit, get as much weight of club head into the shot, and if you bring the club in there, the club probably will stop when it gets into that turf bank. You stand a very good chance of getting it up out of that bunker. Have a go. Well done. See that? Very good indeed.
Well, now, this situation is entirely different to the one we did with Malcolm earlier. This is a 45 or 50-yard bunker shot, one we term, which is a long bunker shot. We've got another bunker in front, which makes it even more difficult. The long bunker shot, anyway, is much more difficult than the shorter one, because one has to be perfectly accurate. The sand is a little bit wet here, so I've got to be careful that the club doesn't slip. The club head has to enter the sand just half an inch or an inch behind, rather than the 2 inches which we try to do for the shorter one. And the swing has to be continued. This is the important thing. The club has to continue in the direction of the target, and the grip has to be kept firm. Now, if you let go for this shot, you'll just take a lot of sand and the ball will flop out. So the answer is to keep very still, to aim and to fix your eye on that half an inch or inch behind the ball, and to continue the swing to a good finish. Ball slightly forward in the stance to get elevation. And here we go.
Here, young Duncan, come on, bring that divot back. That's no way to go on round the golf course. What happens if somebody comes and finds themselves in a place like that? Eh? Stick it back in there and tread it well down. Well, of course, we fooled you a bit there, because Duncan knows enough about the game of golf not to do that sort of thing during the course of a round. But plenty of people don't, and they're not all long handicappers. I've seen plenty of low single-figure men and women who casually take big divots and walk on. They don't repair the pitch marks on the greens. They scramble up and down the faces of bunkers and generally make a pretty big nuisance of themselves to their playing partners, themselves and the couples coming up behind. So don't you do what we just demonstrated with Duncan there. Maurice Benbridge is our professional for this next problem. How does he see playing a shot from that big old divot hole?
Right there, I'd be looking only to make good contact, move the ball along, hopefully play for the centre of the green. You can no chance to try and finesse one out of there, so you just have to take a club that I can drive the ball forward with from that lie, get some sort of flight on it, and not just chilly dip it right in front of me.
Now, Maurice will just show you. What have you got there, Maurice? A 6 iron?
6, yes.
6 iron. Now, what are you going to do different here in an effort to make really good, solid contact with the ball to get it running up towards the target?
Well, obviously, the first thing, I'm going to make sure and get my hands quite away in front of this to make sure that I get a good, quick takeaway.
Break the wrist a little earlier.
It gives me a sharper impact, downward tend into the ball. So I'm going to stand a little bit in front of it, more centre of the stance with the ball rather than a little bit more forward of the centre. I'm going to stand a little bit further back. I'm going to have my hands well in front, and I'm going to try and stand very still and use plenty of arms and hands to hit down and through and drive the ball forward.
Well, come on, let's see your best shot.
In this situation, I think it's just a matter of here's hoping for me.
Oh, there's a perfect shot. That's a super shot. Front right, curling in, just catches the front right corner, runs up onto the green. Well, there you are, Duncan, you see that? Hands forward, weight a little bit forward, or perhaps in the... just boom, straight into it, squirting it forward, not trying to loft it. So many people from that sort of situation take a lofted club, they try and loft the ball in the air, all they do is come back here, scoop up, hit the ball behind. Well, Maurice, we can see that Malcolm obviously has problems.
As we can see, Peter, he's taken an 8 iron, which is rather under clubbing, I would say, and he's obviously trying to give it quite a good hit, which off this type of position is obviously going to lead into all sorts of problems. At these situations, I think one has to show a little bit of restraint, a little bit of control. That's what you need, rather than to get carried away and try to make the ball do something that it's impossible for it to do with any amount of consistency anyway.
Yeah. Maurice will show you now. I think, here we are, Maurice, I've got a ball. Now, you see, you were trying to hit an 8 iron there, weren't you, as hard as you could go. Now, Maurice, how do you see the shot?
Well, I see this shot much, I say, try and see it as simply as I can, in fact. But I've got a 6 iron, in fact, and I'm going to go down the grip a little bit, because obviously my stance is going to be well below the ball. I'm going to have to shorten up the grip to compensate for the length there, and I'm going to try and play a comfortable, easy, controlled swing. With off this slope, normally one would think of turning it to the left. In your particular instance, trying to throw yourself at it a little bit, you're going to exaggerate that. So I'm just going to try and play with a bit of, I suppose, the old boys. Finesse, they say, didn't they?
But also, do you try and keep your body sort of at a level? You know, do you try and work with the slope, keeping the contours in mind, you know, not too much body?
Right. This is the important thing of standing still at these shots, so that one doesn't get throwing about. I mean, just moving in front, you can push it out or pull it or anything. So you've got to stand at a reasonable pace, but obviously one has to try and keep consistent in the height of the head from the ball, because that after all is going to be governing whether you hit behind it or in front of it, and it just goes in the trees over there or anywhere else.
So briefly, to sum up, Maurice, what you're saying is that you've got 2 clubs more than Malcolm was trying to hit. You're trying to keep your body steady. You're going to hold the blade perhaps a little bit open
off this thing, yes.
And then just pushing it forward towards the target with an easy swing.
Right.
Now, come on, keep your eyes open, Malcolm. We'll just watch this lad.
Now, try not to make it go to the left here, Malcolm. Down the grip quite a bit. Just hold it out there.
See the nice easy stance, knees nicely bent, the same sort of flex. Watch the easy hand back. And there she goes, look, right on the target. Now it's nice flight, pitching short of the green, just easing its way up onto the front edge of the green, no danger of turning it into the woods or bunkers, left or right, and then you've got a chance of still chipping up and getting your par. Well, Malcolm Routh has been a little bit lucky and a little unlucky under this situation. He's hit pretty good drive from the tee, managed to run through this bunker, which is rather fortuitous, but he's crept over the top, and as you can see, he's on a very severe downslope with bunkers left and right. And I think, Maurice, I think you ought to just take Malcolm through this club selection and type of shot you think he should attempt from this position.
In this particular case, with the downhill lie, obviously we should be thinking in taking less lofted club because we're inclining to take loft off the face by standing in front of it and following down the slope and hitting the ball forward. Obviously as well from here on this downhill lie, we're not going to get quite the height that we need. What club have you got there?
6 iron.
Yeah, well you see, if I was playing this shot, I'm actually thinking of hitting an 8 iron here. So even then I might even consider 9 because I only want to pitch around 120 yards and with a slight following wind today, that's about as far as I can hit. But in your case, probably a 7 might be enough to get you that far. Shall I go ahead and hit this thing and see if we can see if I can effectively demonstrate? Hold on to that one. The weight has to be a little bit on the left. On that thing, but the right knee has to be well bent so that we maintain a reasonable, for the purpose of our own swing, and balance. The right knee bends in here and the left one is much straighter, obviously, as you can see, but there we're maintaining balance, we're maintaining poise so that we're not going to dip forward, move forward and fall in front of it altogether. We're going to stay there. Obviously the weight is going to be on the left anyway, just to prop yourself against that slope. So there, a little bit on the, obviously not all of it on the left, because otherwise we're going to lean right down it. But that basically is the idea, that we stay there. There's more weight obviously on the left than the right, but here we're going to basically try and maintain this flat lie for our swing, although we're going to, when the swing does come into the ball, we're going to try and follow the contour of the ground down so that the ball is hit forward rather than trying to lift it off the bank or anything like that. So as I say, it's there.
Now we'll see that one again in slow motion. Morris's swing, a good foundation, you see, good solid stance, hands and arms working, head still, good follow through, simple, elegant.
Keep the majority of your weight on your left foot. See here, you're tending here to be a bit too close to the ball as well. You know, you've got to give yourself room to swing back at this one. So swing, get a little bit further away from the ball and get more weight on that left foot, a little bit more weight there. Keep this right knee bent so that you're maintaining a reasonable amount of your normal stance. You know, I mean, there obviously you're trying to be level, as level as you can, without, you know, tipping over. So that's it. Now and then from there, you have to follow. Remember, you have to follow the contour of the ground down, which means that you're going to move forward of it and follow there rather than try and lift the ball up into the air. Yeah. That's a lovely shot.
That's it.
That's a beauty.
A little bit quick, wasn't it? A little bit snatchy. Just take your time and feel the pace of the ball going off the club and running up towards the flag. Good. Maurice, well done. A very sensible and faultless exhibition. Now, before you go, you're not going to run away without telling us what your views are playing under windy conditions. Lots of people get terrified of it. Oh, I can't play in this wind, I'm going to lose my swing. But there isn't all that much mystique, is there? You need a bit of skill, but you can use the wind as an ally, I always believe.
Oh, that's right, Peter, yes. I think the important thing really is to realise and to just accept that the wind is tricky and difficult and everybody's having problems too. I think one has to see the tournament scene, in fact, and in windy conditions the scores do go considerably higher. I think basically accept the fact that you're going to make a few mistakes, take the good breaks when they come, generally just accept whatever you can. Try and use the wind, as you say, when it's downwind, let the ball roll forward with the wind behind it, into the wind. One more club, or two more clubs in fact, and just play well within yourself all the time and try and generally just, well, find an easy way of playing rather than making it very difficult.
Let's just examine this sort of situation. Now, this happens to be a tree, pupils, here, as you can see, but it may well be the edge of a bunker. It might be in a funny position where, you know, you're standing in the bunker trying to chip one up here. What do you do? So many people, you think, well, they'll have a go like this and they'll break their favourite club up against the tree. They'll try and hug it like this and chip out sideways. But really, if you just think about it, why not try something like this? And you can pick it up very quickly, just with 5 or 10 minutes practice on the chipping ground or somewhere. Stand with your back to the target, one-handed, lofted club, big face. This is a 9-iron. Just stand alongside the ball and just let the wrist swing so, right? So that you get that sort of shot. Once more for you. You can be right up against the tree. You just move it back and skip it through. Now, as I say, you could do that on the edge of a bunker, up against a tree. It allows you to escape from that sort of situation. If you're not too sure with using a 9-iron or a lofted club, why not a putter? Also, if you're in the same sort of situation again, with a little bit more practice, I'm cheating a bit, I'm finding not a bad lie, you can turn the club round. That's the normal way, of course. Turn the club round that way and keep the wrists nicely together and just give it a little bonk forward up the fairway. So it's not all over yet. Joining me now, John Stark, another one of Scotland's premier teaching professionals from the delightful Creef Golf Club in Perthshire. Well, John's got 1 or 2 surprises up his sleeve, and who knows, he might even be able to cure Malcolm's slice.
Well, Malcolm, I've had a wee look at this from the distance here. I see you got a problem, all right. And it's all to the right, isn't it? Yep. Well, let's see you address the ball again, Malcolm. Now, the first thing I noticed was that, in your own particular type of slice, you see that? You want to get that round a bit and put your grip back on. You know, it's facing away out there. If you have a look at that, look at it. Oh, right angles to that, you're way out to the right there. Yes. I think the first thing you should do is you check the alignment of your club all the time. See that there? Okay? Right. Now, the other thing, you know, that I was looking at in your particular slice, that you don't move your hands very well. You see, in a golf swing, see, from there, the back of that hand should face out that way. And then when you hit through, like that, the back of that hand should face out there, like that. I'll explain that probably to you later. I'll tell you what, you take a little practice swing with that there, you see that? Move in, and try and move your hands the way I was telling you to do it.
You just want a shot?
Just take a little, yeah, that way. Right, let's see you try and hit a ball like that, eh? Super. That's the stuff. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll show you some of the more common faults or the common slices. If you like to stand over there, eh? I'll show you some of the common slices. I think the most common one is the one that comes up like this, and they take it away outside the line of flight, out like that, and chop really across it. You see? You get this sort of thing. Then there's the other one. It's basically the same thing. The club's coming across the line of flight like this, and they do this one. In there, out they come, and boy, they really chop across it. They think because they're taking it in here, everything's fine. But they come in like this. Again, away the ball goes the same way. You get the other guys, you know, that come in, their grip is just so much over this way. They've been reading so many books, they don't know what to do about it. Face is wide open, you see. This is the sort of thing that you've been doing. The face is open from the very start. Come in, use their hand action, away the ball goes to the right again. So the best tip for this type of thing is to do what I was telling you, Malcolm. And that is to get a couple of clubs there and you work on the parallels, what we call the parallels, so that you're there and the club must move from parallel to that line, back of the hand facing out that way, comes in, squares up to the ball, you move there and it goes back here again, parallel to that line. That's how to hit the ball straight. For every slicer, if they could learn to come from there, parallel to the line they're hitting, back of the hand out there, square it up, move the arms and hands across the front of the body. Keep it square to there.
Well, young Duncan, what are you up to now? Eh? What have you got there?
9-iron.
A 9-iron. You think you can get there with a 9, do you?
Yes.
Well, go on then. Let's see what you can do. Well, I think, John, there was a classic case of a youngster trying to be a bit ambitious, trying to hit a bit too hard, which is a good attacking shot, but I think you might give him a point or two just to help him along his way.
Yes, okay, Peter, I'll have a look at it. Tell you what, let's have a look at your lineup, Duncan, eh? First of all, I think your 9-iron's a wee bit too ambitious. You'd be better to try and play a controlled shot, especially with the trees on either side there, okay? So let's try a 7-iron. Hmm? We'll see if we can get this shot moving better for you. That's the stuff. Now, let me see you stand up to the ball. That's the stuff. So, what I really want you to do is I notice you've got your hands behind it, okay? I'll tell you what, you stand over there and I'll show you one of the two of the things that you're doing. You watch what I'm doing here now. When you stand up, you've got your hands way back here somewhere. See that? So, what you want to do is get into that position there, with the hands in front of the ball, okay? And also, you're a secret grip switcher. Watch my hands. This is what you do when you're playing. You're trying to force it, you see, and you stand up like this, and the last thing you do before you go is that. Take it away and you force it, and of course you know that's a hooker's grip. And that's what you switch to. Try and keep your hands in that position. Keep your hands in front. And when you come into the ball, move into the shot. And try and knock it in a lower trajectory. Try and feel your hands in front as you actually make contact. What this can lead to, of course, is this type of thing. You switch your grip, shut the face, okay? And then you come in there, switch it, hands behind, back you go, where the shot goes to the left. This is your fault, isn't it? Yeah, I thought it was. Tell you what, let's come and try that. Right, you put it down there. That's fine. Let's see you really get into this position here. Now put your weight onto your left foot. All right, keep yourself like that. Let's see you try and get in and feel yourself like that as you make contact. You see that? Try and feel yourself like that as you make contact. And don't sort of sit back like this. Don't sit back and throw the ball away up to the left, but get your hands in front and move it that way, okay? That's the way. Now don't switch the grip this time. Keep it nice and solid the way it is. And try and get in and hit the ball down onto the turf. Keep your hands in front now. Don't cheat. Keep them in front. That's a little bit better. You think you've got something to work on there? I see you've got a bit of a problem there, Malcolm.
Yes,
You know,
a wee hook.
a wee hook. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll show you one or two wee hooks and then we'll see what it's like. Stand
Right.
over there and we'll just see. You know, this hooking business, you know, that hook and the pull are both the shots that go to the left. You know, the hook goes straight and bends left and the other one goes straight left. And it's quite a lot of things. I think the hook is the one where, you know, you heard me talking to the other Malcolm about the parallels, and you see the club coming in from away inside the parallel, not here at all, but away in from here somewhere. And they come into the ball, the face is like this, and they've rapidly got to close the face, you know, and of course they close it far too soon, and you get this, phew, ball swings away to the left like that. The other one is attached to the slice, really, because people come up to the top of the swing, they go the other, take it outside, and they point it over here. I've got a parallel there, I've got a parallel here. I should have a parallel up here as well to those two, you see. So what happens is they come up and they go way out like this. You can see that from here, can't you? Everybody at home can see this business. The club's away out there. It's going to come right down like this, and instead of laying it open for the slice, the fellow just takes it and closes the blade. He comes from that position, down like this, blade closes there, and he bangs it straight left. Let me see you take a practice swing and try and get a pivot. As you block, you see, you come to there and you block this. You can't quite get to this position. It lies out a wee bit. See that? So I'd like a little bit of more movement in that position. Yeah. Let's see you try and just, you know, take a practice swing first. Let's see you try and just turn that hip a bit. See if we can get the club into position. Make the back swing only. Oh, that's not so bad. Yeah? Get it to there. How does that feel? Terrible.
Terrible.
Swing forward now then. Well, let's see you. Let's have a go at it, eh? More pivot to try and get the club in line. On you go. Turn it again. That's it. There. And now let's see you come in and twist the hands over. Come on. Right, that's fine. Now, once again, remember, you've been coming from the outside slightly. All right? So coming from there, you'll be blocking to hit them straight. Okay? Well, you're now coming from here. So I want to see that action. Back of the hand, through the parallels. So let's try it. A bigger pivot from the hips especially. Because I'll tell you, you can't turn your shoulders without turning your hips. It's impossible. They only go to there. You've got to let that go. Let's see you try it. Turn the hips and shoulders, right round. Oh, a bit more. Come on, there. That's it, yeah. Come on then, let's see you come in. Try the ball now. A full pivot. Yep. You're going right through that line there. Go on. Full pivot and then use your hands. That's a better shot. It's a wee draw, you see. She dubbed that one a wee bit, you know.
Step it in the ground.
She dubbed that one a wee bit, but it's not bad. That's the one that's been coming. It's been looking like it all the time. You've got a very good eye for a ball. There's no question about this.
That one, though, a lot of people always tend to say, oh, I hit a bad shot, partner, I got my head up, which is one of those classic old sayings like, you know, the check's in the post, or I had to be up, partner, to hold it when the ball goes 20 yards past.
Or I'll do it tomorrow.
I'll do it tomorrow. I'll start the diet tomorrow, yes. John, what is your interpretation of head up? I think, you know, everyone says, oh, I had my head up, and really, the number of times that is the complete fault is very rare. I always think head still. What are your views?
Yes, head still. Perhaps I could show you, Peter, you know what I mean?
Please do.
Could I stand there, Pat, just a second? If you stand over there, I'll show you. I always feel, in this type of situation, that if one moves the body properly, the head will remain still. When the head comes up, it's stuck onto this like a big turnip and stuff of a post, you know. The head comes up. This is really what's coming up. It is the body that's throwing it, or it's the body that's throwing it here, or the body that's throwing it there. If you keep your head still, keep your head up there, look down at the ball, keep it still. If you concentrate moving the body properly, the head will remain still. It's the converse of what other people say. You get people gluing their head like this, they stand like this, and but I kept my head still, but it's still not a good shot. You know.
What about, John, we've got that can create topping or slaffing or just scuttling along the ground. What about the ones that sort of sky up in the air, body all out of position and just a sort of complete dunch behind the ball and up it pops, you know, and you could run forward and almost catch it?
Pat nearly did one there. You know, she came in and there she was, releasing away over here somewhere and in like that, right into the back of the ball, you know, this sort of thing. You get it often in youngsters trying to get the ball up in the air, or people starting the game, they're trying to get the ball up into the air. This is what they're trying to do. And they sort of scoop at it this way. And you get this sort of, back goes the body back here, and they're flapping at it like this, you know, trying to get this thing thrown away. And that's where it goes.
Well, that's about it. I hope you've learned something from my professional colleagues, and I'm sure John Stark's left you with plenty of things to think about. Don't forget, though, to make use of your own professional, and if you're not actually the member of a golf club, don't be too afraid. Don't be put off by that private sign at the end of the drive. Go up and see the old pro, and I'm sure he'll be able to give you some lessons, and he'll be delighted to do so and pass on his great knowledge. Our thanks to the Downfield Club and Committee for allowing us to record our videogram here, and we hope you'll continue to love and enjoy and play golf. Bye-bye.